It's our privilege that we have a special address by Shri Arun Kumar Rath sir, and the session will be presided over by Shri S.K. Acharya sir. May I request Poonam madam to please escort the dignitaries to the dais. Professor Rath has been associated with us since a number of years, and every time we hear something from him, it's always new and something great to learn from him. To talk about Professor Rath, he is the chairman and professor for the Center of Corporate Governance and Social Responsibility at IMI New Delhi. He has been into the Indian Administrative Services since 1973 and has held various positions in 3 decades. Long in career in the Indian Administrative Services, he was also the Joint Secretary in the Department of Public Enterprises, Government of India, Special Secretary and Financial Advisor to the Ministry of Steel and Secretary, Department of School Education and Literacy. During his stint in the Department of Public Enterprises, he played an active role in the introduction reforms of the governance of central public sector enterprises. And while with the Department of School Education and Literacy, he was involved in shaping the right of children to free and compulsory education bill in 2008. During his stint with the Ministry of Steel, he was also on the board of certain public sector companies such as SAIL and NMDC. Dr. Rath is currently, as I said, professor and chairman of Center for Corporate Governance and Social Responsibility he has also worked with MDI and currently is with IMI New Delhi. And he has also been on the academic councils of Central University, Orissa, and also the board of directors for Mangalore Refinery and Petrochemicals Limited. I wouldn't take much time in terms of, I would like to invite him for the special address on CSR and sustainability, the new mantras of corporate strategy. May I request sir to please address the participants.
Thank you, Sulagna. Dr. Acharya and friends. I would like a discussion, a debate, and question answer. So therefore, 20 minutes, then whatever time you need for question answer. That is more important. So what I'll do, I have a long presentation. I will not go by that. I'll mix it verbally, and sometimes I show slides if it is necessary, otherwise not. Now friends, at the outset, since I have already spoken for some time, in the inaugural session, which is part of my lecture. So those things I will not repeat, that helps me only. Now at the beginning, let me add what I spoke in the first session. Now, the CSR mandate in the company law of 2013, it has got ramifications. Both sides. Now, since we are from a lot of PSUs are present here, particularly for PSUs, is very helpful. Let me tell you. Because whether you spend 1%, 1.5%, 2%, there are issues. Those who have worked in public sector, I have been working in public sector, I was government director in SAIL, NMDC, Mecon, independent director in Coal India. So I know the public sector issues. So that helps. If you say that you spend up to 2%. So no questions asked subsequently as to why you spend such a huge money. That mandate is necessary, particularly for public sectors. But what you have done for the companies who are not private sector, what you have done, clause 2, you have said, however, the board may decide to spend less. So you have taken away in the second part what you gave in the first part. Now PSUs are bound. When government says you spend 2%, before law, PSUs had 2% stipulations. So spending. So it is the private sector which will get away with the provision that board can decide to change it. Now that is that's a point one has to understand, address. And second issue, who is implementing it? Suppose you say 2%. PSUs again, Department of Public Enterprise will catch them that you have not spent 2%. Fine. So PSUs are very much into 2% fold. What about others? There's no mechanism to implement it, whether board has taken decision to spend 1%, 0.5%, 0%. Why? These are left to the freedom of the board. There's a second point, which is creating a problem. One is to bridge these loopholes in the law. Then Schedule 7, which is the mandate as to on what you spend. Now, it is good in a country like India, which is poor, developing. The resources from the companies must be available. But then the flexibility of the, let's say, old DP guideline, the sustainability, sustainable development, we have Aditi also. Now, that somehow is not coming very strongly in Schedule 7. They are rightly so, mostly anti-poverty programs. Women, children, handicapped, disease, education, health. Nobody says that they're not good. But what about the responsibility to company to be sustainable in their business? So with this, I begin my presentation. Now, I say, I go to corporate strategy. Your vision, mission, objectives, functions, what you plan to do. Now, CSR often is seen as an icing on the cake. What is icing on the cake? Now you bake a cake. Then at the end say, oh, I think I've forgotten something. Icing. Oh, put icing on it. So CSR becomes afterthought. For most corporates, it was afterthought. Oh, we have made profit, okay. Then let us spend something. So afterthought like icing on the cake is not CSR. It should begin like sugar. When you prepare the dough for sugar, for the cake, you write there, you put sugar. So write on project 1, project stage, when you draft a project for a company. Are you responsible in the very beginning, day 1? Because project is over otherwise, and you put icing on the cake. So that is what I mean to say, integrating the CSR and sustainability should be integrated into corporate strategy. Are you responsible? Yes or no? Law apart. Am I responsible? Yes, I am responsible. Am I sustainable? Yes, I am sustainable. Am I doing sustainable development? Yes, I am doing sustainable. Am I good to society? Yes, I am good. Right from day 1 of your work. That, I would say, is integrating the CSR and sustainability into the strategy. Otherwise, it's going to be absolutely a greenwashing. It will eyewash. It's called a greenwash. Wash it green. You are painting everything. A painting is brown. You wash it green. And so I have really done a lot of green work. That is kind of a green fumes. A painting of brown fumes coming from factory. You paint it green and say, oh, I have done lot of green strategy. That's wrong. So greenwashing is possible unless you say that right from day 1, I am responsible. Friends, with this, let me just almost run through. Now, there's a lot of terminology. Global citizen, responsible citizen, corporate social responsible, sustainable. I mean, these are all, fancy. Sometimes, I would say, they become fancy words. They all have a similar philosophical background. Although you can make differences, but basically, philosophically, they are on the same side of the spectrum. Are you good? Are you responsible? Are you concerned about your effect on society and environment? As I told you, Professor Misra is there, great economist. Economists use a word called externalizing. Are you externalizing the problems? It's like you go through let's say, coal mine area. When you come out, your white shirt is dirty. Now, can you go and tell the company that your fumes have dirtied my shirt, so clean it? He said, no, this is not my problem. So this is externalizing your problem to others. Similarly, a mining company, except his company, which is really green, I always admire. A mining company gets a license to operate a mine and gets profit out of it. At the end, when the mines are over, exhausted, when the mine is exhausted, say, I'm leaving. Where? What about the muck you have created? No, that is not my problem. I was to take out the ore, I take it out, I am going. That is the responsibility part. You are irresponsible because you are not restored as NLC is doing, not restoration. So that is the externalizing machine part, which is bad part of a corporation. So law or no law, you have a duty to see that you restore what you have damaged. That, friends, so these terms are almost over. Now, profit is not a dirty word. In fact, your job is to earn profit. If you say, I met one CMD, said, I have done great CSR, but I have made losses. I said, sorry, you have failed in your primary duty. The shareholders have given you money to make profit. That is your first responsibility. Now, all of you, I give the example of a flight. When you go by a flight, the air hostess announced, in case of fall in cabin pressure, oxygen mask will fall down. What do they say? Breathe first, then help the children nearby you. If you are not breathing the oxygen in the flight, when you are yourself in distress, how can you help the child? And then help the children and others behind you. Please. So therefore, it is designed that you must be on your own first. In fact, what Milton Friedman said, when he opposed CSR in 1970, the Nobel Prize economist, he said, nothing doing, no CSR. Your job is to earn profit by rightful way. What he said, that if you make loss, you are again irresponsible. So social responsibility begins also by economic responsibility, legal responsibility, and then higher one is social responsibility. So you must make profit. From that only you can plow back to society. Now, friends, the buzzword is that today, who is the wealth creator? Not the government. The corporations, the modern corporations are creating wealth. They are engines of economic development, powerful engines of economic development. The jobs are being created by them. They are the ones creating goods and services, the ones creating the wealth income. So they are like government. So on their own, they should feel that I am a very powerful person. I should help others. That is the philosophy. Now, friends, as I told you, Milton Friedman said, there is only one responsibility of yours in 70. That time CSR was not very much in fancy. Even 1916, when Dodge versus the Ford case came, the court said profit maximization is objective, not CSR. I mean, but things have changed. Why have things changed? Now, Freeman in 84 said, well, somebody is not a shareholder. He has not given money to you, but he can damage you. He can affect your working. If somebody can affect your working, he is a stakeholder. So stock versus stake. I am a stockholder, I am important. He is a stakeholder, he is also important. In fact, Freeman went to the extent of saying that what to speak affect, your survival depends upon them. So these are the thoughts which emerged that you can't do without the stakeholders. You are affected by them, your survival depends upon them, so don't ignore them. In fact, this is why the old theory of corporate governance, that return on investment is my job, like the Ford Motor case of 1916. Today it is changed, that you are a stakeholder also. The shareholders are stakeholders, but there are other stakeholders. And if society is a stakeholder, they have a stake, CSR follows directly from that. Society is a stakeholder, like shareholders. So that is the reason. And this 4-part model is very interesting. Carroll gave a 4-part model of CSR. What he said? The first 2 parts are economic and legal responsibility. Milton Friedman said, your job is to earn profit. Economic. If you are not earning profit, mind you, you are damaging society also. Because you are taking society's money, society's wealth, resources, and you are damaging. You are making loss. So your first response begins with economic one. Then I don't have a law. Laws are not for me. Sorry. Again you are damaging. So these 2 are red ones are compulsory. And this one is what is expected by society. India has taken this red line a bit here by making it. This green also a partly red, so 2% you spend. Otherwise, this is the 4 part, and this is purely philanthropy, Karna type. When Karna gives donation, he asks for no return. Pure, this is desired. You may not give, but Karna type, dan. There is no good word like dan, Dan where you expect no return to yourself. Friends,